I'm not a fan of what they're trying to do to Caitlin Clark. They're trying to dim the flame of Caitlin.
One of the assistant coaches chasing Caitlin Clark down as she's riling up the crowd.
Like, if a coach did this to any other player in the league, they'd be fired.
Just minutes ago, Caitlin Clark drained a smooth step-back three and turned to fire up the crowd, finally showing flashes of the unstoppable energy that made her a superstar.
One of the assistant coaches chasing Caitlin Clark down as she's riling up the crowd. And it seems like she's getting scolded, reprimanded, told, hey, all that hyping up, don't do that.
But right in the middle of that electric moment, an assistant coach from the Indiana Fever stepped in and physically interrupted her celebration.
Caitlin, they were like, oh, Caitlin, people saying Caitlin's an angel. No one ever said Caitlin's an angel, but she became emotionless. And watch what happens here. So the coach just grabs her out of nowhere. And I'm like, I don't think there's anything too malicious in that. I don't know if there's anything too malicious. We don't know what's said.
The clip spread like wildfire online. Fans watched in disbelief as the team's own staff shut down the very energy that's brought life to the league. What should have been a proud, momentum-shifting moment quickly turned into a symbol of something much deeper. Caitlin Clark is being silenced by the very franchise she's been carrying.
This is how you treat your prized possession? This is how you treat your cash cow? This is how you treat your savior?
It had all the makings of a signature Caitlin Clark moment. Crowd on its feet, intensity rising, momentum swinging in her team's favor. She just nailed a slick step-back three that lit up the arena.
Now here we go. Body language doctor. Body language doctor is out and about. Caitlin Clark's like, what the hell is this? You know, I was just hyping up the crowd. What you coming up for me for?
The Fever were comfortably ahead, and for the first time in a while, the energy felt electric. Caitlin, feeding off that surge, turned to the fans and started hyping them up. Hands raised, smile wide, fully in her zone.
She said, I want to be kinder to herself. You can see it out there with her reactions to every miss that is killing her. Yes, it is killing Caitlin.
It was one of those moments that defines a star. And then everything shifted. Out of nowhere, an assistant coach from the Indiana Fever stormed toward her and physically intervened, grabbed her arm, stopped her in her tracks, and pulled her out of that moment.
This is how it would go if Caitlin Clark had faith in Natasha Howard, right? Boom, gives the ball to Natasha Howard, maybe takes a step back behind the three-point line, gets in a catch-and-shoot stance. Because of Alicia Gray, cheats down, which they won't because they just fucking guard Caitlin.
No whistle had blown, no warning from refs, no confrontation with the other team. Just a player celebrating her shot and a coach deciding to shut it down. The look on Caitlin's face said it all. Stunned, confused, and eventually muted. The clip exploded across social media. Fans were shocked, outraged, asking the same question over and over. Why would her own team shut her down like that?
This is unreal. I really hope that this is seen by somebody that can tell Tosh, like, look, we can't be playing hero ball anymore. Or maybe she's just not back on the floor with Cece again. This clip is funny for many reasons. Caitlin knowing once Howard gets the ball, the play is done, so she starts tying her shoe. Then Howard missing another easy layup. Another easy layup.
Comments poured in. What should have been a highlight reel celebration turned into a symbol of something darker. Caitlin Clark being restrained by the very organization she's reviving. But that clip was only the beginning. Observers noticed an immediate change in Caitlin's demeanor after that moment. Her passion disappeared. She stopped rallying the fans. Her body language dimmed. It was like someone had flipped a switch, draining the fire from a player whose entire game runs on emotion and momentum. And the saddest part?
They didn't like Caitlin Clark shoot. They don't like her style of play, bro. They don't like that she shoot logo threes. They don't like it. They don't like her fans. They don't like it, bro. They're trying to diminish her.
That fire wasn't snuffed out by the opponent. It was her own team that did it. Let's be honest. This wasn't about game discipline. It wasn't about avoiding a technical. It was about control. It was a subtle but clear message. Stay in line. Don't get too loud. Don't steal the moment. And that message didn't just stop a celebration. It said, you're not allowed to be you.
Caitlin Clark's like, what the hell is this? You know, I was just hyping up the crowd. What you coming up for me for? I was just going like this. Why are you pulling up on me? I'm just hyping up the crowd.
But fans saw through it. They know Caitlin Clark isn't just an elite shooter. She's an engine. She's the electricity. The one who brings the noise, the flair, the heart. Trying to mute that? That's not coaching. That's containment. And when you try to cage a storm like Caitlin, you don't just lose a player's joy, you lose the very magic that fills your seats and lights up your scoreboard.
But Natasha Howard isn't even going to look in her direction. We have officially reached that point. There's Caitlin Clark passing Natasha Howard the ball. Shout out to Bill Simmons. If anybody watches Bill Simmons podcast, listens to Bill Simmons, he gets into this character that he calls himself. As soon as Natasha Howard turns around, Caitlin Clark is like, oh, here we go again. Let me guess. She's going to dribble, and jack up and off. What is Caitlin Clark thinking in her mind? Oh.
After that viral moment, it was clear as day. This wasn't about basketball. This was about power, and the Indiana Fever bench made their choice. They didn't want Caitlin to lead the moment. They wanted to manage it, and in doing so, they risked losing the very spark that made them relevant in the first place.
That she's missing the ball, but what's killing Caitlin more than anything is that she cannot get in the rhythm because of this damn motion offense. They're not passing her the ball.
This wasn't just another physical play in a competitive game. Caitlin Clark's injury during the Connecticut Sun matchup marked a turning point, and what followed revealed something even more concerning than the hit itself: the silence. No genuine concern, no real support, not from the league, not from her coach, and definitely not from her teammates. Let's start with the injury itself.
I'm sorry, if it wasn't for what Caitlin Clark did, everything else away around that, if it wasn't for all the positives of Caitlin Clark, we'd just be fans of Maureen Johannes. If it wasn't for Caitlin's ability to be a focal point and be an engine, we'd just be all Maureen Johannes fans, because Maureen Johannes shoots from deep.
In that game, Clark was poked in the eye, blindsided, and hit hard by a combination of players, Marina Mabry and JC Sheldon being front and center. Tina Charles, who was also nearby, may not have delivered the initial contact, but the freeze frames don't lie. She made physical contact and, more importantly, stood over Caitlin while she was on the floor, talking trash.
Well, Casey, why are you acting so surprised? We've always known that the WNBA doesn't know how to treat their stars properly.
Whether or not it was a closed fist to the back, the intent was clear. The disrespect was undeniable. But the deeper problem wasn't just the hit, it was the aftermath. Caitlin was visibly hurt, grabbing her face, stunned, and down on the court. And where was the help? Where were the Fever teammates rushing to her side?
They also have no idea how to take care of her when someone else does all the work creating the star and literally hands the star to these clueless buffoons.
The only one seen stepping in with emotion was Lexi Hull, screaming in defense of Clark. Natasha Howard, she stood there, watching, silent. The same Natasha who went on Sue Bird's podcast just weeks earlier, claiming Caitlin was like her little sister. Really? Because when your so-called sister gets shoved and poked in the eye, you don't just stand around. You react, you protect.
This is not good. This is not good. This is really not good in the way it's going. She's not making first team, second team, no damn team, all WNBA. They're ruining Caitlin, bro.
But that didn't happen. Even more shocking is how that injury altered Caitlin's momentum. Prior to that game, despite playing through a nagging quad injury, she was performing well. Shooting percentages were solid, over 50% from the field, lighting it up from three.
They didn't like Caitlin Clark shoot. They don't like her style of play, bro. They don't like that she shoot logo threes. They don't like it. They don't like her fans. They don't like it, bro. They're trying to diminish her.
But immediately after that brutal Connecticut matchup, the numbers dipped. Shooting slumps began. She sat out multiple games. The injury wasn't just physical. It shook her rhythm. And yet people, fans, analysts, even some former players, started using that slump as an excuse to discredit her.
The disrespect, the outright defiance. It is coming from the president of the Indiana Felines, which means this is coming from Caitlin Clark's own team.
Commentators were quick to label her overrated, or say she can't shoot. But they ignored the bigger picture. She was hurt. She was unprotected. She was expected to carry the team while being targeted night after night. And still, no one said a word. And then comes the podcast, the final slap in the face. Sue Bird and Tina Charles not only refused to acknowledge the injury's seriousness, but chose to laugh about it.
We want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever.
They made a joke out of Caitlin's pain. Tina literally reenacted the moment, shrugged off the hit, and then proudly said she stood over Caitlin while talking trash. Sue, instead of stepping in or offering context, laughed right along. They even joked that the moment reminded them of Southside Jamaica, turning what should have been a concern for player safety into street fight theater. And this is the same Sue Bird who fans once trusted to protect the integrity of the game.
Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark, but I want this team to be the leader in the country and, you know, a brand, an enduring brand, you know, like Apple.
The same Tina Charles who wants to be seen as a leader in women's basketball? It's embarrassing, and fans aren't letting it slide, because beyond the podcast clip, what hurts most is that Caitlin was left alone by her team, by her league, and by the very people who should have protected her.
Naturally, Caitlin Clark fans were pissed off about this. You got the president of the team talking about a rebrand when they only have a brand.
She wasn't just knocked down physically, she was knocked down symbolically, and now even after that, she's the one being laughed at on national podcasts by players who built the league on unity and respect. But fans see it. They see the pattern. The injury was real. The silence was real. And the betrayal? That's what hurts the most. Because if Caitlin Clark, after everything she's done for the league, can be treated this way, then who's next?
If you were around in the 1990s, you're probably familiar with Jerry Krause, but I'll explain who he is for the kids in Gen Z LGBT. Jerry Krause was originally a scout for the Chicago White Sox, who eventually became the general manager for the Chicago Bulls. He became the GM in 1985, the year after Michael Jordan was drafted.
To understand what's really happening with Caitlin Clark, you have to look beyond the court. The uncomfortable truth is this: the issue isn't just with the players or the assistant coaches, it's coming from the top. Because the way this franchise is treating Caitlin isn't just careless, it's calculated.
She deletes her Twitter account. She disappears from the platform. Instead of confronting the problem or even ignoring the problem, President Kelly chooses to run away from the problem.
Recently, Fever President Kelly Krauskopf held a press conference, and what she said sent shockwaves through the fan base. Instead of praising Caitlin Clark, the rookie who has exploded ticket sales, boosted ratings, and brought national attention to the franchise, Krauskopf shifted the focus. She said the goal was to turn the Indiana Fever into a brand like Apple. Not Caitlin, not building around Caitlin, just the Fever.
Caitlin Clark fans were pissed off about this, and they expressed their outrage on social media.
That moment exposed everything, rather than acknowledging the undeniable truth that Caitlin Clark is the reason the team is on the map. Krauskopf positioned the franchise as the center of attention, reducing Clark to just another foundational piece. It felt like a subtle but clear move. Caitlin's not the star here. The team is the brand. And how did the front office respond to the backlash? They didn't double down. They didn't clarify. They didn't even stand firm.
She deletes her Twitter account. She disappears from the platform. Instead of confronting the problem or even ignoring the problem, President Kelly chooses to run away from the problem.
Kelly Krauskopf deleted her Twitter account and vanished from the conversation. No explanation, no accountability, just silence. And to fans, that silence said everything. It's the same kind of arrogance that broke up dynasties in the past. Many have already compared this to Jerry Krause, the former general manager of the Chicago Bulls.
And the coach comes up to Caitlin Clark and Caitlin, I don't know. I want to know what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. What is this? What is this? What is this? We all know the story would be if it were a male coach, why the double standard? Fire her. Damn, fire her ass.
Who famously clashed with Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson out of jealousy and ego. Krause once believed that the Bulls' front office deserved more credit than its players, and in the end, that ego tore down a dynasty. Sound familiar? Here we are again.
For decades, the WNBA wasn't criticized because no one was paying attention. Now, there are millions of people watching Caitlin Clark, and they're exposing the never-ending flaws in the WNBA.
Only this time, it's not Jordan, it's Caitlin Clark. And instead of recognizing the gift they've been handed, the Fever's leadership is pushing her into a box she doesn't fit in. They're so obsessed with controlling the brand that they're actively suppressing the very player who is the brand. Before Caitlin arrived, the Fever were struggling to draw 2,000 fans per game. Now, they're packing arenas, dominating headlines, and setting attendance records. And yet, the leadership acts as if Caitlin is just a small part of that success.
For decades, the WNBA wasn't criticized because no one was paying attention. Now, there are millions of people watching Caitlin Clark, and they're exposing the never-ending flaws in the WNBA.
As if she's replaceable. She's not. And let's be real, fans see through the branding talk. This isn't about building a long-term franchise identity. This is about egos, about control, about a front office that doesn't like being outshined by a 22-year-old rookie who came in and flipped the entire league upside down. But here's the truth they don't want to face. You don't manage a player like Caitlin Clark.
They want to see the perfect. And by the way, I don't know if this is just from the coaching staff. I think this might be from the front office. Maybe they want to keep this squeaky clean image of Caitlin Clark, not realizing that Caitlin Clark didn't have this squeaky clean image. Caitlin Clark, let's be real. There's a video of Caitlin Clark flopping. Caitlin Clark has shoved somebody over. Caitlin Clark is no angel. And I don't mean that by no angel Reese. I mean she's no actual angel.
You build around her. You empower her. You ride the wave she's created and let her lead. Because when you try to control that kind of spark, you don't just dim her light. You burn your entire franchise to the ground. And right now, that's exactly where this is heading. A leadership team too proud to admit they're not the reason people are watching. A front office too out of touch to realize they've struck gold and are now fumbling it right in front of the world.
If the president of her own team is unwilling to acknowledge the impact of Caitlin Clark, why in the hell would the rest of the league acknowledge it? I don't get it. This should be so simple. But for some reason, the WNBA just can't seem to get the hell out of their own way.
What happened in that viral clip wasn't just about a celebration. It was a symbol of everything wrong behind the scenes. Caitlin Clark, the star who's revived the franchise and brought the league into the spotlight, is being silenced by the very team she's carrying. From being cut out of plays to being physically stopped mid-moment, it's clear they don't want her to shine. They want her to shrink. But here's the truth. You don't control a player like Caitlin. You build around her. And if the Fever keep trying to contain the spark, they won't just lose her, they'll lose everything she brought with her.